Either we all pay taxes or we don't. And the way it's set up now, people like Donald Trump don't have to pay taxes. And it's not against the law. So unless you can prove, not that he's a bad person because he didn't do it, unless you can prove he broke the law by not doing it, unless you can prove he defrauded America by not doing it, you really got nothing in this personal tax. It says Donald J. Trump on it. He paid $750 in 2017 and in 2016. I think those are 2 years. And then the other years, he hardly paid anything. Here goes a little bit more background on that on various clips. Check this out.
The New York Times yesterday began publishing that series of reports that examine 20 years worth of the president's tax returns, revealing financial losses in the millions and an audit battle over a tax refund and payment of almost no federal income tax. The Times reports that for 2016 and again in 2017, President Trump paid $750 in federal income tax. Let me repeat that, $750. But for 10 of the previous 15 years, he paid zero, nothing at all, because he reported losses that eliminated his tax liability. The paper does not have records for 2018 and 2019. Now, according to the Times, ultimately, Mr. Trump has been more successful playing a business mogul than being one in real life.
Okay, that goes on and on and on. Mika talks about for Morning Joe. They discuss Donald Trump's taxes, the liabilities that he had, the fact that several years he claims that he didn't make any money, took on various losses. We're also talking about depreciation on a number of assets in order to arrive to the point where he didn't owe any taxes. And that was intentionally done by Donald Trump and his tax advisors and tax preparers. It's not like he's sitting down creating his own taxes, but he's paying someone to get him to that point. These are the goals of pretty much all corporations to try to pay at least amount of tax. So Mika Brzezinski's breaking down, this is horrible. Like he's not paying a lot of taxes. He's hardly paying anything. It's a smack in the face. I mean, I know I pay more taxes than he does. So there you go. And I'm sure most of you have paid more taxes than Donald Trump. Chronic losses in years of taxes, avoidance. Records obtained by the Times after years of secrecy. The Times has obtained tax return data for Trump extending over more than 2 decades. It tells a story fundamentally different from the one he sold to the public. Trump's finances are under stress, beset by hundreds of millions in debt coming due, and the IRS audit that could cost him $100 million. He paid $750 federal taxes in 2016, nothing at all in the 10 of the prior years of the 15 years, largely because he lost so much money. Tax records reveal how fame gave Trump a $427 million lifeline. Trump deflects questions about taxes, and it's yada, 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 yada. Here we go. Presidential taxes. Let's compare Trump to other presidents. Federal income tax payments by presidents in the first years of their administrations. Reagan, $165,000. Remember, you got to adjust for inflation, so that's a lot of money back then, maybe. H.W. Bush, Clinton, W. Bush, Obama, Trump. All right? There it is. All right? And as you can see, it's a big difference. I mean, Trump's paid such a paltry amount, it's not even on the ruler, Johnson. It's horrible. It's horrible that Trump hasn't paid these taxes. His predecessor, Barack, by contrast, paid nearly $1.8 million in federal income taxes first year in office, primarily on royalties from the sale of his book, which overly inflate seriously how much money he earned and how much he had to pay. And so we know that. Okay. I don't think we need the rest of this. Okay, so here we go, guys. As they talk about Donald Trump taxes, I want to say this loud and clear, guys. It's not going to make a big difference to Trump supporters. If there's one constant, I don't think these people in the corporate media and the people, the liberal or whatever, the people that running against Donald Trump, whatever you want to call these people who are paid by the DNC, the Democratic Party, whatever, these people who've learned to make a living, they might not be paid by them, but their living is based on siding with, in the majority of cases, anything related to the Democratic Party, okay? Their lifelines are tied to the Democratic Party in such a way, so go the Democratic Party, so goes them. The Democratic Party doesn't succeed, they don't succeed. So you don't have to be working for the DNC. You don't have to work for the Democratic Party. But if your fate is tied to the Democratic Party, then you essentially do work for them. You just don't get a check cut directly, okay? So this is the part that they leave out. Who gave Trump all his money? Well, we know who gave it to him, like he did in businesses and various investments. Let me phrase it this way. How did Trump get so rich? How did Trump get so rich? He got so rich because they've been bolstering Trump from the beginning. Trump is so rich in part due to Joe Biden, who wrote the tax code. See, there's a lot you could blame Trump for, but you can't blame him for anything political in our country, a system in our country that has garbage politics, that has tax codes that benefit the rich and screw over the poor and the middle class or below middle class or everyone else who's not in that upper 1, 2, 5%. Everyone else gets screwed over. This is not a phenomenon that was created by Donald Trump. This exists for all businesses. All of them. There was a rant, I don't know if I want to play it, but you know who else didn't pay taxes? See, I have no problem with you being critical of Donald Trump. In fact, I welcome criticism of Donald Trump. Just make it fair criticism and make it criticism across the board. Amazon didn't pay taxes. I think they made a little bit more. I think Bezos, Amazon made a little bit more than Trump. Apple, Walmart, none of them pay taxes. This isn't a Donald Trump. Oh, so you think Trump people or voters are supposed to go, Trump should be better than the corporations that make 100 times what he does. He should be better than them. He should just give money. In the real world where real people live, that's not going to play well for most people. Now, there are going to be some people who just hate Trump to the extent it don't matter if that thing said he paid $100,000, they'd be like, that's not enough. If he paid $500,000, they'd be like, that's not enough. He's a billionaire. He should pay. So it doesn't matter what the number is. Now, 750 is a nice round little number that sticks in one's head, but at the end of the day, it's the system that's corrupt. Trump is just part of a corrupt system. He's benefiting from a corrupt system that he did not create, that some people, Joe Biden, is a part of creating. Joe Biden been in politics 40 years. He outrights some of that tax code that's so garbage that Donald Trump gets to get away without paying taxes. See, this is the part where keeping it real, well, you need to keep it real in order to have these conversations. You can't tell me how bad Donald Trump is, how horrible he is, unless you're going to also say all of these corporations are. And you know the biggest slap in the face is when Bernie Sanders was saying, hey, our corrupt system, our corrupt tax system. You called him a socialist, you dogged him, you degraded him, you said he was a communist. All these horrible things for pointing out this system. But now you want to have it your cake and eat it too. You want to say, oh, we hated Bernie, and we're going to lose if we listen to someone who wants to change the way we do business, the way corporations are treated, right? Oh, screw him. And now you want to use Bernie's talking points. Now you want to use Bernie logic, Bernie policies against Trump after you shaft Bernie. No, on principle, us thinking, reasoning people cannot co-sign it. Listen, the system is corrupt. Donald Trump is gaming the system that is put in place. Now, if you say Donald Trump broke the law, but I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is basically Donald Trump's a liar, which we already knew. That Donald Trump is not as rich as he says he is, which we already knew. And he has an incentive to always claim losses so he doesn't have to pay taxes. Bezos operated in a deficit for years in order to avoid a bunch of tax liability. This is regular-ish. The fact that us poor folks can't do the same, that's the travesty. See, it would be okay if all of us could play the same game. The travesty is we can't all play the same game. Either we all pay taxes or we don't. And the way it's set up now, people like Donald Trump don't have to pay taxes. And it's not against the law. So unless you can prove, not that he's a bad person because he didn't do it, unless you can prove he broke the law by not doing it, unless you can prove he defrauded the tax code, he defrauded America by not doing it, you really got nothing. Because you can bet, I'll bet you this, the same people reporting, Rachel Maddow's worth several $1 million. The Obamas at this point are worth several $1 million. You think that Trump is an aberration? I mean, you better shut up, right? So you want to beat Trump. I get that. Understood. But if this conversation continues, that's why they want it to be a really short window news cycle. Because somebody somewhere, besides Tim Black, whose reach they try to smother, is going to say, hey, I wonder who else didn't pay a lot of tax. And we start going down a list of all these fake outrage. Oh my God, I can't believe Donald Trump didn't pay more. We start going down a list on all these sacred cows. I wonder how much the Obamas paid last year, in the last couple years. I wonder, did they wake up to this tax thing after doing well with that book? Didn't own anything to hide money, to claim losses, did they? I wonder. I don't know. Some of these others pay. Like, we start having these conversations. What did the Clintons pay? You know, how much did they pay? So we started talking because Donald Trump and Bill Clinton probably had the same tax advisors. I mean, their kids slept over each other's houses. They went to each other's parties. They golfed together. How far apart can they be on how they conduct business? Rich people share business ideas, business over a round of golf, right? What are we saying? So what they're hoping for is they're hoping that we're so ignorant that we don't pay attention to these things. Now, hey, once again, hey, if it hurts Trump, good. But you got to come with the goods. I know that some Americans will fall for anything, but not all of us. And it just happens to happen the day before the debate. The day before the debate. You know, just before this, we go to the votes, we go to, and I'm not even, there's people who have knowledge of the, okay, well, who are these people? Well, they can't tell you who gave you this information because it's against the law to publish someone else's tax information. So I don't even know if they got it legal. They didn't get it legally. The same thing they're locking up Julian Assange for, exposing information without permission or whatever, right? You can make the same argument about these people. But no, I don't think they should be prosecuted, and I don't think Julian Assange should be either. See how that works? Consistency matters. It's not just the stories you want them published. It's journalism deserves freedom of the speech, freedom of the press is an important part of maintaining a democracy, or at least trying to pretend like you have something that resembles a democracy. More on that in another segment. The point is this. What Donald Trump did is standard practice for corporations and the wealthy. It's the poor people that get some. So when Donald Trump says, hey, I'm not a sucker, people relate to that. Because to them, it's them against the government. The government doesn't help them. It's the government against them. The government taxing the hell out of people. Don't like taxes in general, particularly when they feel their taxes don't even go to help the issues of the systems or things that impact their lives on a daily basis. That's also the problem. Even those who say, hey, I'm fine with paying my fair share of taxes, they want their taxes to go somewhere besides making bombs and killing brown people in faraway countries. Overthrowing governments to install hand-picked leaders by the United States. This is not what people want their tax dollars to go to. So now we start to get into a moral dilemma, a conversation about, well, we know Trump can't make this moral argument, but some of us could make the moral argument that you want to avoid and lower tax payments because your money goes to fund things you don't support. Now, it's not that Trump can make that case because he hasn't made any moral standings in the last 30 years. Okay? So don't come to me don't come to me with that scenario, that talking point, Trumpers, because that's not who Trump is. Trump is a guy who wants to beat the system and make as much money as possible. Don't make him out to be a savior doing this for some apolitical, moral reason. That's not why he did it. And I have no evidence, and you have no evidence of that either. But some of us could make that claim. If we walk our life, if we live our lives a certain way, if we have been publicly against certain things, we can make that argument. Be that as it may, the end of the day, guys, this right here doesn't hurt Trump. In fact, part of the reason why we're so late today is that it was so hard to find anything else to talk about because this is everywhere. But when I looked at people talking about it everywhere, they were being basically echoing MSNBC and CNN. So the truth, the facts, the real is Trump ain't doing nothing different than any other rich person would do. And the other thing is, he never pretended to be someone who was going to do anything different than what Bezos would do, what Gates would do, that other rich, wealthy business owners would do. He never pretended that he did all these great things, that he's just giving money. And so it works against this story. This narrative doesn't work on Trump at all. If anything, it helps him because except for the people that already totally hate him, despise him, they hear his name, their stomach hurts. Oh, you mentioned Trump. Oh, God. Oh, stop. And there are people like that. You can't even say Trump. Hey, Donald Trump. Oh, God. Oh. Don't talk. Their faces frowned up instantly. Except for those people, most other people are going, screw the government, dog. Screw them. It works for rich people, it don't work for poor people. That's part of the argument. Now, where the conversation should be, but the Democrats can't make this argument because the Democrats, these corporate Democrats, are in the same business as Donald Trump, generating as much profit as humanly possible, protecting themselves, elevating themselves, living well, taking payoffs, helping corporations, corporate personhood, all that bullshit, right? It would be helpful if the Democrats could say, no, we fight for the little man. We fight for working people. No, you say that you do, then you don't. Because every horrible tax bill, every horrible tax code, Democrats vote for. So where's the fight? Oh, I get it. So you're helping me fight. You're helping the poor people. You're helping the average the average family or whatever that is. But you're helping working people who didn't inherit a lot of money, whose parents didn't give them this big leg up, whatever. Poor people, people born with it against them, the financially strapped, and people who didn't have houses and boats and yachts gifted to them, like, silver spoon trust funds. You're helping them by just talking a good game, but actually not changing tax code. And then when you have Democrats, and then when you have an opportunity to get a candidate that's talking about changing tax codes, that's talking about closing loopholes, that's talking about making corporations pay their fair share, you demonize him. He doesn't just lose. You then have Buttigieg, Klobuchar, Booker, all of them falling behind a corporate Democrat. So you have really no leg to stand on at all in this argument. Once again, I think this argument hurts the Democrats. It doesn't help them. Don't tell me I'm hurting them by telling you the truth. No, you should want to know the truth. Because every once in a while when I do a segment like this, there's some idiots, and I hate to say it, but they are idiots, who you're helping. No, they're helping Trump. I'm just reporting on it. What you want me to do? Lie to you like CNBC does? Lie to you like Chuck Dodd lie to you like Rachel Maddow. That's what you want me to do? No, I'm not going to do. You don't pay me enough to lie to you. All right? I like feeling good about myself. So once again, this hurts the Democrats. They think, oh, they're sashaying around. Yeah. The independent media folks with podcasts who focused on it today, no names mentioned. It'd have been nice if you would have mentioned that Donald Trump is part of a dereliction of a degradation of the American people, the working class, that he's a part of the disease. He is just one small prong in this. And I know he's the president, but he ain't doing anything different. And these corporate Democrats are part of it. And the ones who bend to the will of the corporations, who don't hold corporations accountable, are just as bad. It'd have been nice if that had been part of it. And don't tell me you're fearless and that you're bold and you're a fighter for the people and then leave out these things. Because if you want actual fairness in this country and you want to be a speaker for that, you want to speak truth to power, stop misrepresenting yourself, or you can't even call this. This is a layup. Folks, this one is a layup for anybody in journalism, any commentator to get right. So look carefully. I'm not saying names. I'm not telling you what to watch, but just look carefully. I mean, this is obvious. These fuckheads voted for these tax codes. They gave Donald Trump the loopholes. He did not break the law. And if he didn't break the law, it's legal. And if it's legal, who set it up? Who put it in place? And then you look at the Senate, and you look at the House of Representatives. You look at these lawmakers and say they created it. Therefore, they created Trump. And we're not even going to talk about who gave Donald Trump all that money, MSNBC for The Apprentice. And we're not even going to talk about who helped him build his brand, Morning Joe, Mika, the audacity of Mika and Joe Scarborough to sit there as if they weren't giving us daily coverage of Donald Trump in his boxers at home during the 2016 run-up to the election. He was on Trump TV, basically on Mika Brzezinski and Morning Joe every day because they were following the marching orders of Hillary Clinton and the DNC to this Pied Piper strategy of elevating Trump, who they thought they could beat very easily, because they were afraid of Bush and Rubio and Ted Cruz. They thought elevating Trump would help them, and it backfired. And this is also evidence of how horrible the Democrats are. If you look at the fine print on this stuff, you get the sense that Donald Trump was financially maybe in trouble, and he was running a campaign, that theory that he's running a campaign, initially just to raise his brand awareness, coming off these contracts with MSNBC, and he just trying to boost his brand, sort of like Kanye West. When Kanye West puts out an album, and he makes a bunch of tweets, it just gives credence to that theory. But let's stop pretending. Let's not be idiots all our lives. Let's not be gullible.